Hello everybody, I am Fuzzyface and welcome back to episode 6 of this Ferrari Challenge game on Motorsport Manager. We're back again. This is the second episode today. As I explained in the last episode, which went on a little bit early today, we're sort of splitting up how we put the episodes on. Instead of it being 2 races per episode a day, what we're going to do is split those up into one race in one episode that's posted at 12 PM GMT time, and then the other episode is posted a little bit later in the day at 5 PM GMT time. It just helps with me getting the videos done and uploading them. It's just a little bit easier on my schedule to do it this way around, so then I don't have to sit and, if I don't have the time, I don't have to sit and record 2 episodes. I can just sit and record 1 episode and then come back to the other one a little bit later in the day, edit a video, get it uploaded, and then do the other one a little bit later, get that edited and get that uploaded. It just works a little bit better around my schedule, so hopefully it's a little bit easier for everyone as well. Each episode should come in at around the 20-minute mark, hopefully, because we've got it pretty much down to a T how we managed to get into a race, run practice, qualifying, go through the grid and run the race. So hopefully they're nice little bite-sized chunks for everyone to watch and keep up with here. But as we get back to the championship now, we've got Charles Leclerc on 111 points. We've got Hockenheim coming up. Mick Schumacher, who's on 104 points, he's now at his home Grand Prix, so Schumacher will be desperate for the win here. He keeps getting pole position, but he keeps making some pretty bad starts, which is allowing him to get, or allowing Vettel to get in front of him and some of the other cars, which holds him off a little, which means Charles Leclerc then does have the advantage early on in the race, which gives him the advantage overall, because it's hard because both of our drivers are pretty equal in terms of skill, and the cars are very much equal at the moment. There's no real difference between either car. It's the tiniest bit of difference. Charles Leclerc had the best car last time, but it is only, if you work it out over all the parts, it's only about a 5-point difference between the cars, so it's neither here or there. So it's all down to driver skill pretty much. And Schumacher, who is the better driver at the moment, he's rated the better driver, just the bad starts are doing him in at the moment. The bad start last time out in Sochi pretty much costing the race. Charles Leclerc managed to get past him. Schumacher fell back, lost some momentum coming out of the first corner, managed to get overtaken by Vettel, and then of course, because the Mercedes pushed their car a little bit, it's hard to get back past them without really pushing the car too much, which would again push Schumacher so further down the grid. But that's how things are going at the moment. Hopefully Schumacher gets a good start at Hockenheim at his home Grand Prix. So we're going to get into practice now, qualifying. We'll come back for the grid and we'll just see how Schumacher can do in Germany, see if he can get the win at his home Grand Prix. And yeah, we'll come back for the grid and we'll go from there. So here we go with the grid for the 2018 Hockenheim Grand Prix. Our 2 Ferraris on the front row of the grid again. Schumacher once again quicker than Charles Leclerc in qualifying. Just over 0.2 of a second. On the second row of the grid, as usual, we've got Daniel Ricciardo, Sebastian Vettel, Red Bull, Mercedes respectively, then followed by Max Verstappen and Nico Rosberg getting back up into 6th for once in the Williams, pushing Hülkenberg back down to 7th in the Force India, Bottas in the other Williams 8th. On the 5th row of the grid, rounding out the top 10, we've got Raikkonen, Hamilton, the Force India, McLaren respectively, then we've got Daniel Juncadella, Fernando Alonso on the 6th row of the grid, then followed by Roman Grosjean in the Toro Rosso, his teammate in the other Toro Rosso, Julian Palmer, Marcus Ericsson 15th in the Renault, followed by Pascal Wehrlein in the Manor, Louis Delatraz in the other McLaren, his usual place of 17th, followed by Jean-Eric Vergne in the Manor, and then as usual Jack Aitken, Norman Nato on the back row of the grid in the 2 racing engineering cars. So here we go. Hopefully Schumacher can get a decent start this time. We do sort of really want him to win his home Grand Prix, but it's another poor start from Schumacher. Leclerc gets in front here, and we've got the Red Bulls there. Is that Daniel Ricciardo, Hülkenberg, Verstappen, Raikkonen? So Vettel has made a bad start himself. He's managed to get overtaken by both Force Indias around this sort of first long hairpin corner there after that first corner. But Charles Leclerc here is going to get there, and Schumacher's lost a place to Ricciardo here, so he's going to end up being slowed up a little bit, or even a little bit more, because the Red Bulls do run in high mode. They don't have this eagerness to push in overtake mode like the Mercedes do, so it might take a while for Schumacher to get past here. So we do sort of want him to get back on the back of Daniel Ricciardo. That is the worst thing that could have happened to Schumacher, because what we didn't want is to push these tyres too much, because we wanted to do this race in a one-stop strategy. For Schumacher, for that to happen, he is going to have to look after a pair of soft tyres if he wants to do one stop using 2 pairs of softs. If he doesn't look after this pair of soft tyres enough, then he is going to have to do the second stint on medium. Charles Leclerc, meanwhile, he can get a lot longer out with his soft tyres, so he can do this quite easily on 2 pairs of soft tyres. So we're just going to have to wait and see if Schumacher can get back ahead of Daniel Ricciardo here. This is possibly going to be really difficult here if Red Bull are up to scratch reliability wise. It's going to be pretty hard for Schumacher to get past Daniel Ricciardo. Daniel Ricciardo is about 4 3/4 rated. His stars for his driver, and Schumacher making an attempt to try to get up. Should we go into full overtake mode down the straight? Schumacher looks like he's close enough, but not quite. We can't burn up too much fuel here. But there goes Schumacher trying to get up the inside. Schumacher desperately trying to get past Daniel Ricciardo here to try and win his home Grand Prix. He really needs to get past Daniel Ricciardo quickly, because as soon as I don't know what sort of lap the Red Bull like to turn their engine down. As we can see, Vettel around lap 3, the Mercedes turn their engine down. But a lot of these other cars that run in high mode, it might take them a lot longer. We're going to have to try and recover some fuel a little bit here. We don't want to use up too much. We're just going to have to wait and see what these 2 Red Bulls do. Whereas now we're going to have to go back into medium mode on the tyres. We do want to try, and Schumacher's locked up as well. Schumacher has locked up. He's done a 133.9 to the 132.6 of Charles Leclerc. So Schumacher is being held up here. Meanwhile, Vettel has managed to recover to 4th place and is getting on the back of Schumacher here. The way that Schumacher is going to be able to get back in front here, it looks, is through the pit stops. What is Daniel Ricciardo? And Schumacher's been overtaken by Sebastian Vettel as well. Vettel gets past there. Schumacher losing places here. Can he get back this place from Sebastian Vettel? This is going to be a real blow from Schumacher if he can't recover this position. And Daniel Ricciardo is managing to eke out a little bit of a gap as well over Sebastian Vettel. So we're being held up doubly here. Possibly go back to high mode around this sort of point. That is desperately bad news for Mick Schumacher there. Possibly going to be a race where we don't actually finish 1 and 2 for a change. Charles Leclerc. And this is all down to the bad starts that Schumacher is having at the moment. I don't know what is causing the bad starts. I don't know whether that is something to do with the stats. None of his stats are really that low enough that it would make an impact where he keeps having these overall bad starts. We just really want to outlast the other cars a little bit here. Maybe if we try and cool these tyres down, we want to try and go about a lap longer than what these cars are doing at the moment. We're going to try and conserve as well with Charles Leclerc. He's got enough of a gap here. We do want him to stay out a little bit longer than the Red Bull does. We want to sort of see what they do. 30%. Charles Leclerc is at 39%, so he can possibly do another lap from this point. Schumacher, meanwhile, we're running him in backup mode. Bit of a risky strategy because there's not a lot of chance for us to actually overtake here. There we go. The Mercedes is coming in this lap. What we actually want to do, I think Ricciardo's coming in as well. What we want to do with Schumacher, he's got the next pit stop. Charles Leclerc is going to go a tiny little bit longer than that. I don't think it's going to quite work out here because the tyres are a little bit more worn. We want to go push and overtake mode. We want to put in an absolutely flying lap. And they're going hard tyres to finish the race. There's 12 laps remaining. Schumacher does need to go for the medium tyre, but he is going to have a quicker tyre than the Red Bull and Mercedes here. Charles Leclerc has possibly just got about enough tyre to go around again. Has he got enough gap to get in front of... no, because we want to get him on another soft tyre as well. We're just desperately trying to hope that we can get Schumacher back into second place here, but it doesn't look possible. It doesn't look like that's going to happen. Here comes Schumacher. He's finished his pit stop. It doesn't look like he's going to get back out in time. And there go the Mercedes and Red Bull. So we've got 5 laps. We can't go in high mode for too long here. Charles Leclerc, meanwhile, is 25 seconds ahead. This is actually a pretty close race for once. So here comes Charles Leclerc. He's got a couple more corners left before he comes into the pits. I don't think Ricciardo's gaining much. No, so Leclerc should be able to get back out into first place. Schumacher, meanwhile, he is on a quicker tyre So he should be able to get back past. And there goes Charles Leclerc back out into first place. And we can actually turn these tyres up. Look how close a Red Bull and Mercedes are today. I don't know whether they've been improving their car, but they're pretty close for this race. We're not having our usual dominating race. Schumacher meanwhile struggling still, but he's getting on the back of these two cars. Can't run in push mode for too much longer on the tyres, but there we go. Vettel down, chasing Ricciardo now, 12th, starting the 12th lap, 9 laps remaining. We need to get past, then we can turn the engine down. There goes Schumacher, desperately trying to get past Daniel Ricciardo, desperately trying to recover this position here. Charles Leclerc does have a lot of fuel left. Schumacher meanwhile, should we risk going into overtake mode down the straight? No, he gets past him anyway. He gets past. Now we're going to have to go back to medium here. The tyres are pretty hot, but running in medium and neutral. Ricciardo's trying to push a little bit. We just need to keep an eye on that. Charles Leclerc meanwhile, it looks like he's going to have this win. There's going to be 2 race wins in front of Schumacher now, who is struggling at his home Grand Prix, being held up by a Mercedes and a Red Bull, which means Charles Leclerc does have a 9-second gap. Plus he has had to use a higher fuel mix, which means he's used a lot more fuel. He is going to be able to recover this by the end of the race, but Charles Leclerc has only used 0.3 here over the allotted amount of fuel per lap that he would have done. That would mean 3 laps to recover that fuel. So around about lap 16 he's going to have to turn down to medium, which is pretty good for a race that he can go for so many laps in high mode before having to turn down the engine. But here is Schumacher. He's still under pressure a little bit from Ricciardo, who's just under a second behind him, although it looks like Ricciardo's going to start falling behind pretty soon. We need to cool this tyre down a little bit as well. I think there's enough to get it through to about the end of the race, but what is Daniel Ricciardo doing? They're still running the yellows as well, but they're on the hard tyre. Schumacher should be about pulling away if he could do. Maybe we could have about half a lap or a lap in high mode, see if we can just build this gap up a little bit. Try and get Schumacher a little bit more comfortable here. Whereas we can start recovering this fuel of Charles Leclerc's. So we should have enough time just about to recover this fuel. We've got up to about 2 seconds here. Is Ricciardo turned down? No, Ricciardo's pushing a little bit. We're going to have to go back to medium now. What's the weather like? It's going to stay dry. Tap temperature's just about right at 22 degrees. Charles Leclerc meanwhile almost 13 seconds ahead. Charles Leclerc just having an excellent race out in front. But Schumacher back in second place here. He's got about a 2-second gap down to Ricciardo, so that is pretty decent there from Schumacher to manage to get back up into second from 4th place. He was having a lot of problems, but it looks like the Red Bull and Mercedes have recovered quite a lot. Last season they were having a lot of problems in the earlier races. It doesn't seem like that is going to be the case this year. But Schumacher is now starting to pull away from Daniel Ricciardo. I wonder if his tyres are going. He's at 28%. Has he turned down? He's gone low. Engine mode. They've possibly burned up a lot more fuel here. Charles Leclerc meanwhile has recovered all his fuel. He can go back up to high mode if he wanted to. Tyres are just about on the limit for both these cars, but nothing where it will cause us any problems. Schumacher meanwhile is just about there for recovering his fuel. Charles Leclerc has already recovered the fuel and is pushing again. So yeah, coming up to the final lap now. We'll concentrate on Charles Leclerc. We'll catch his win in Hockenheim. This will be his 4th win of the season, is it? Yeah, it's his 4th win of the season. Schumacher has 2 wins, and Schumacher is now starting to fall behind in the driver's standings. Although later on in the season, Schumacher should be able to make up any sort of gaps that he does have, because later on in the season he will become a better and better driver. Charles Leclerc's improvement rate is a little bit slower than Schumacher's because Schumacher does have the Wonder Kid trait. So there we go, Charles Leclerc in first. Schumacher managed to build up about a 6-second gap to Daniel Ricciardo, but there we go, 2nd place for Schumacher in his own Grand Prix. We've got Monaco coming up next episode tomorrow at 12 PM GMT, Wednesday afternoon. It is Charles Leclerc's home Grand Prix. He is Monegasque, so that will be an interesting race as well. Schumacher will obviously be looking for revenge. Leclerc beat him in his home Grand Prix, he will be looking to beat Leclerc in his home Grand Prix. So it's going to be really interesting the next Grand Prix to see if Schumacher can pick up the pace a tiny little bit just to try and get back in the mix here. Otherwise he's going to start falling really behind Charles Leclerc. They did keep swapping first and second place, but Leclerc has now had a run of really good races, 2 wins in a row, to the point where it looks like he could pull away with the championship. Obviously things could be thrown into chaos at some point during the season if one of these drivers actually crashes. One of these cars actually crashes. That would throw everything into the mix, because then that would mean one of our cars gets a huge 25-point advantage. At the moment they keep swapping 7-point advantages, apart from this race where Charles Leclerc will be now 14 points ahead. He did the quickest lap at a 1:30.6. Schumacher, just that bad start again, holding him up. Otherwise he possibly would have won the races that Charles Leclerc has won these 2 races if he hadn't been held up. He has been managing to get pole, he has been quicker, he is actually possibly the quicker driver, but Charles Leclerc is an absolute beast at starting, and Schumacher has been really slow off the lines, so he's really going to need to improve that in the future. So if we go now, Charles Leclerc first, Schumacher second, 14-point gap. Yeah, so it's going to be really hard for Leclerc. For Schumacher to try and pick that up. That means he needs to win 2 races with Leclerc finishing in second. We've seen Leclerc might crash at some point. There we go, we've got a huge 158-point gap over Red Bull. Williams still in third, Mercedes still in fourth, McLaren, Force India, Toro Rosso, Manor, Renault picked up more points. Did Alonso manage to finish in the points there? Let's try to get back to the race standings. Alonso managed to get 9th. Where did Hamilton get 6th? So not bad from Alonso and Hamilton, their respective cars. They are both in really poor cars, but it's good to see them still managing to do quite well. So everyone's still happy. We have a new unlock from Charles Leclerc, light-footed on the soft tyres. That's not going to affect him, he's really good with his tyre wear anyway. A 5% improvement on the braking, so Schumacher really improving a lot of his stats here. He's possibly going to be able to max out this, probably going to get to about 4.5 by the end of the season. Leclerc is doing pretty well himself, but he's not improving as quick as Schumacher, and we should have a lot of money coming in now because that was a Germany Grand Prix. We do have Alliance as a sponsor, which does mean for the bonus it is a 3.2 multiplier, so we should have a ton of money coming here. £7 million we've got today, almost 13.5 we've got in the bank now, which means we can continue focusing on improving this car even more, which is becoming more apparent because the Red Bull and Mercedes are getting pretty close this season because they've managed to get over their reliability issues, and it was pretty close going there for a while with Schumacher. It did look like he was going to struggle to get past Vettel and Ricciardo. He managed to do it in the end. Most of that possibly to do because we went with a quicker tyre than the AI cars went for. Schumacher wins tech qualifying car condition update. Not too bad. The race winner start morale boost, and a dramatic race in Hockenheim win ends in a Leclerc win. So calendar, we've got Monaco coming up next, Leclerc's home Grand Prix, where top GP2 are still leading barely over Sauber. I think Pedro Piquet won the last GP2 Grand Prix, so he's improving. Jenson Button still holding out at the top of the table over Esteban Ocon in the other Sauber, Carlos Sainz in the other Art car, so it's going to be between Art and Sauber. Prima meanwhile looking pretty strong, but Lance Stroll is pretty much holding up that team by himself. That Sergio Perez isn't doing as good as Lance Stroll for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe Lance Stroll has got the better car. Let's just click on Prima here. Yeah, so they must be giving Lance Stroll the better car for some reason, otherwise maybe Sergio Perez is running into some reliability problems. But yeah, we should have the next suspension built. Maybe we'll build another front wing as well, so we might have 2 new upgraded parts for the next Grand Prix, see how much quicker we can go. But anyway, that is it for this episode. Another amazing 1-2. Unfortunately, Schumacher didn't win his home Grand Prix. Another bad start. But anyway, thank you everybody for subscribing, liking, commenting on all my videos. But until next time, I will see you down the road in Monaco for the Monaco Grand Prix. And goodbye.